And I work with a platform, a Spanish platform, but it's a platform who allows me to go to festivals and to be 4 months on a theater. For me, this is a red line. I mean, I don't think I will work with a platform who doesn't respect theaters. We have to be careful with this. I think this is on the hands of the filmmakers.
This is the Box Office Podcast. I'm Daniel Loria, the editorial director of Box Office Pro, the pulse of theatrical exhibition. And in this week's episode, Rebecca Pahle interviews Sirāt director Óliver Laxe about the Oscar-nominated film that came out from Neon last week and is now playing in limited release across the United States. I feel like Rebecca and I have been hyping this movie up for months, so I'm excited to get this interview out to our audience. A highly recommended title that I'm looking forward to hearing what people think. Rebecca, before we get into the conversation, what did you think of this interview? Because it's one we really fought to get on the podcast.
It was a little bit of an interesting, difficult interview because, you don't want to spoil anything. I mean, I really wanted to stick to you got to go in fresh. So not really talking so much about the specifics of the film itself, but just his relationship to cinema as, the cinema exhibition community and how the film's doing in France. It was very shop talk.
So that is coming up in the second half of this episode. But before we get there, my colleague Chad Kennerk here is going to lead us through a conversation of the Super Bowl trailers. Because, Chad, I'm not sure you watched the game over in Denver, but you at least watched the trailers. And, I think both Rebecca and I had to catch up by the time we woke up this morning to be ready for the podcast. What did you think in a general overview, Chad, before we get into a title-by-title basis? Was it a good batch of film promotion in this year's Super Bowl?
Yeah, I pay attention to the commercials for the Super Bowl, so I'm looking out for movie trailers. I think it was a good batch in terms of the business side of the industry, seeing the Minions and Monsters trailer. I think that for me
and
was
title reveal, by the way. That's a new title.
Minions 3. Yeah. During the first, as that trailer started, and it looked like the Minions are going to start summoning some sort of eldritch beast out of Lovecraft. I was like, wait, do I want to see this Minions movie?
Oh, it's a little like dark magic at the beginning.
It was offbeat. It's not just, I like that there appears to be a different approach there because they could keep doing the same thing, copy paste.
And nobody would mind or notice.
Yeah. I feel like there were people sitting in a boardroom going like, what do kids like besides Minions? And someone's like, monsters. And they're like, yes.
What do we call a movie about Minions and monsters?
Yeah, there you go. Money Factory. Yeah. Well, before we go into title by title rundown of what we saw at the Super Bowl from the studios, let's go into the omissions. What wasn't there that you think fans were looking forward to? Because I think those Q4 titles, maybe there was some anticipation we'd see them, at least on the superhero IP side.
Yeah, I definitely heard people where was the Spider-Man trailer and Avengers Doomsday? And just no real updates on the MCU front.
Disney being in there, I am surprised that they didn't at least drop something new or even one of those Avengers pieces we've already seen, right?
We would have liked to see more studios here, but I think we got a nice little collection here, Chad. Let's start on your end. What's the first movie that we have to talk about here in this roundtable to get our reactions from the trailers?
Yeah, I think going just chronologically through the calendar, Scream 7, the big game spot there.
I feel like I'd seen a lot that was there, but at the same time, it's a good sort of like proof of life from Paramount. We were just complaining about Sony. And man, I'm excited for this one. I don't know how you guys are faring with your Scream movie marathon before we do that podcast, but I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready for Scream 7.
I'm ready to defend Scream 4 when we record.
Oh, me too. I'm just wrapping that up right now. Before we started taping, I'm like in the third act. Dude, it holds up.
It holds up.
I disagree.
Well, we got to save that for the Scream episode. Yeah. But at least we've got a Scream 7 trailer out there. And I think it was successful because pre-sales started this week off the back of that trailer spend that Paramount put up. And they're fantastic. Really, really strong pre-sales so far. I'm not sure it hits that $50 million mark, but after the first couple of days of pre-sales, I think 30s, maybe even 40s for opening weekend is in range. So it was a smart spend. People, I think, reacted to it well. Fans had already seen the footage, but I'm happy to go back to that franchise. What other sequels did we hear from in the Super Bowl broadcast?
In terms of sequels, we jumped on the calendar a little bit to the Super Mario Galaxy movie coming April 1st. So obviously that's a big one on the calendar box office wise.
I did not go to the movies this weekend. Obviously, it was way too cold. I just stuck inside watching the Olympics all weekend, more or less. So I feel like I've seen Super Mario Galaxy movie based on how many promos NBC was sprinkling throughout their Olympics coverage.
Good.
They're ramping it up. Like, that's synergy. It was everywhere.
Yeah, it's all within the studio, right? NBC, Universal, Comcast, they're promoting their own titles. I'm really happy to hear that. It's good to see these titles being marketed. What else did we have coming up on the schedule based on these trailers?
Yeah, as we're talking sequels, Supergirl was also in there as well. I think they played that around the Puppy Bowl, which is a great tie in there because they featured the dog.
Footage we'd already seen, except footage of the puppy.
So it's puppy trailer reveal. And I'll jump onto this because it's my fault and I got it wrong. At CinemaCon last year, I walked out of that presentation and I said, Chad, I'm not sure about Superman. They focused way too much on this dog. James Gunn got on stage in Vegas and just talked about his dog and then talked about the other dog, the dog in the movie. And I walked out saying like, yeah, okay, I'm not sure about this. Then I saw the movie and I'm like, okay, I get it now. That's actually pretty good. It was a really smart idea to incorporate that dog. And the dog's a big part of the sequel. I think it's not really the DC universe, it's the crypto universe at this point. Rebecca, I know that you were similarly kind of like on the fence with Superman being rebooted. How do you feel about Supergirl after seeing this trailer?
I'll see it. I'm not going to buy the ticket as soon as they go on pre-sales, just because the marketing still kind of does make it look very, very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, which makes sense given the James Gunn of it all. But I would like to see it, stand out a little bit, I guess, more for me. But I mean, in terms of adventures in space, that Project Hail Mary trailer really worked for me.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that was, I think, a big step forward for the marketing campaign of Amazon MGM's really first tentpole in the Amazon MGM era. It's no guarantee by any means, right? We have to preface that by saying that it's not written in the stars that Project Hail Mary is going to be a home run at the box office. But I think a lot of exhibitors walked out of the Amazon MGM presentation at CinemaCon last year thinking that and hoping that. Chad, after we see a little bit more of what Project Hail Mary is actually about with this trailer reveal, do you think it's going to live up to that expectation that exhibitors have after CinemaCon?
I hope so. I think it's a really interesting premise, and I think that those who have read the book are really excited about this adaptation. I do remember people in the hallways. I heard that title a lot at CinemaCon. So we'll see now that the marketing's out there if we start hearing that. Similarly with the general public.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Lord and Miller back. I mean, you pop Prince's "I Would Die for You" in a trailer, and I'm there. But really, it did remind me of The Martian. Obviously, was another adaptation of an Andy Weir book. That film had just an amazing jukebox soundtrack. The music was such a good element in that. It feels like they're kind of going for that vibe, maybe a little bit music-wise with the trailer. I'm hoping that we get a nice aural landscape there because he's alone in space. I guess he's going to be listening to some tunes in between trying to start the sun back up.
We can only hope so. And I found it interesting that the footage we saw at CinemaCon last year made the marketing seem a lot more in line with the Ridley Scott adaptation of The Martian that came out almost 10 years ago. Wow, almost 10 years ago at this point. Crazy. Yeah, don't even. But what we saw at the Super Bowl, this looks a lot more like a Lord and Miller movie than a Ridley Scott, adaptation of a book.
Looks like a space buddy comedy.
That's what it looks like. And I didn't get that vibe. I don't know how you felt, Chad. I didn't get that vibe from the way they presented it to us in Vegas last year. But now this looks like a popcorn movie. This doesn't look like, an October movie that overperforms set in space. This looks like something that you buy the concessions with and have a good time at the movies. And that's exactly the sort of film that we need, because the kid movies, we need them. That's great. It's great we have them. It feels like Q1 has been a bunch of horror movies, one after the other. And I can't wait for Scream 7 as I say that. So that's great. But Project Hail Mary right now looks like the sort of date movie that adults can go to and have fun at. And we haven't had that for a second, I feel.
Yeah, that tracks. That makes sense to me. In terms of the kids' movies, we had the trailer for Hoppers, which what do you guys think about this?
Ooh,
Because
I don't know.
it's the new one from Pixar. It's Pixar original IP, which they have been struggling with as of late box office wise. On the other hand, it's, a cute talking animals thing. And then, maybe in the wake of remembering how everyone loves Zootopia so much, maybe that'll catch on. It just doesn't really look like a Pixar movie to me.
No,
that's
what I think too. At least in the marketing, it doesn't seem that way.
And maybe that's a positive thing in terms of getting butts in seats. I don't know, but I think, Rebecca, we all agree with you. I saw the trailer and I was surprised there was a Pixar connection to what I'd just seen on the screen. Now, of course, there's been significant turnover at Pixar over the last 5 years. So you have to think the aesthetic or just the brand affinity has evolved from that. But I've got my questions too. You're right that Pixar originals have not been the guarantee they once were at the box office. For a while, it was the only original brand that worked. Like the only studio that could bring out an original movie at a tentpole level would be Disney Pixar, it felt like, in the second half of the 2010s, right? But I do have my concerns. It's tracking well, I think around $40 million opening weekend. I mean, again, not a blockbuster, but it's tracking well enough.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time that Pixar has dated a movie for March. It feels like maybe they've taken the lessons of the last few years. Like, all right, we don't necessarily need to go with June and Thanksgiving for everything. Let's let this, land that in a quieter period and not so much pressure. See how it works.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout. I think that's a good shout. I don't have the release dates in front of me, but if it isn't the first time, it's probably the first in a long time. Chad, you also have question marks about Hopper, especially after trailer 1.
I do, yeah. Just looking at the dates here. Onward was, the unfortunate timing of March 2020. I think that was the last movie I saw in theaters before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's, I think, what happened. They got burned in March 2020 with an original. Yeah. But listen, we've got a new wide release Pixar movie coming out in March. We'll need it by that point.
Because we have Goat coming out this weekend, right? And then between that and March and Hoppers.
And before Goat, it's really been the Zootopia 2 party. Zootopia 2's held on this well and this long into the calendar, just based off of how much people liked it. I do think there's something to what Rebecca said, that talking animals is something that Disney just gets right. Talking animals, if you throw a song in there, it's almost a guarantee, right? So if it's a back to basics sort of movie, just to get a general audience, it doesn't have to be a prestige play. I thought Soul was beautiful. Not every movie has to be Soul. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with a big, wide appeal with this one.
I think in the best possible scenario for this one, I mean, remember back to the early days of Pixar where everything was, very prestige and adults love them, kids love them. And then they kind of skewed more. Cars was not up to the level of quality storytelling wise that they'd established beforehand. I feel like it kind of just went with the basic, like anthropomorphic blank. And that worked really well. So maybe the fact that they're not making us use our tear ducts until Toy Story 5 is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Before that.
It's good. That's good. Well, that's almost all of the movies that are animated that we saw. No, we saw a little bit more. We mentioned Minions and Monsters briefly on the podcast. Is there more we want to add? Because I think that was a big title reveal. And there is a bigger demographic here that we think of when we talk about these Minions movies.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the same release date as the last Minions.
Wow, yeah. Wouldn't be surprised.
Did very well.
Are the Gentle Minions going to recur here? I like that this trailer was just like the Minions. I know there got to be some human characters in there at some point, but I don't care.
Do we need them? I can't say much about this. I still haven't seen a single Despicable Me Minion thing. I'm going to go as far as I can. Hopefully it'll like peters out by the time my daughter asks to see this stuff. I'm seeing how far I can go. You guys have seen some of these, right?
I saw Penguins of Madagascar.
Way off. Different thing altogether.
I've only seen like the clips that have been, like extended clips that have been shown at CinemaCon, and I thought they were cute. They were all right. I'm like, okay, this is fun.
I go to the bathroom during those.
That was about the top level of my interest level.
Your Minions knowledge. Yeah, whenever the Universal presentation, they go like, and now here's like the first 25 minutes of a Minion sequel. That's when I close my laptop, I go to the restroom, I make a phone call, I come back in 25 minutes. I appreciate those being built into the schedule. Next time they say, and here's Vin Diesel talking about the next Fast and Furious, that's a great opportunity to have a meeting, go eat lunch, and then come back an hour later and then catch the end of the presentation. Chad, what else did we get to see here from the Super Bowl trailers?
Yeah, so a couple more titles here. Like with Minions and Monsters, we also got some new footage, the very first spot for Mandalorian and Grogu, which didn't give us much. They're riding on a snowy planet with some tauntauns.
That's what they're called. They're tauntauns. It looks like a Star Wars horse. That's what I call them. It's a Star Wars horse.
That's what Luke gets like.
He sleeps inside of one of those.
Yeah.
They made tauntaun sleeping bags for a while.
Am I imagining this? Doesn't like Leo DiCaprio do the same thing in Revenant, but with an actual horse? Or did he sleep inside of the bear?
Oh.
I'm confusing The Revenant with The Empire Strikes Back. I apologize.
Where a dude was in a bear in Midsummer, but
yeah, that different beat altogether. Yeah, associations that don't really line up to marketing a new Star Wars movie. So here's my issue with what I saw, because I didn't watch the game at all. I watched these trailers online, and I saw this spot from Mandalorian Grogu. I hadn't seen anything about this thing. I haven't seen the Disney Plus TV shows. This is the first Star Wars theatrical event since the last movie of the trilogy, of the new trilogy.
Have you seen the
Rise
trailer
of Skywalker?
yet? I mean, they've been playing the trailer for...
No, I hadn't seen the trailer. So there's a trailer out already. Okay. So I hadn't seen anything about this. All I know is this is the first Star Wars theatrical event since the new trilogy wrapped up. There's been a significant break on Star Wars being something you do at the movies. And I'm sorry, this trailer was awful. I have no idea what it's trying to sell. And only after the fact did Rebecca bring something up that I think is accurate. Can you bring that up in the podcast on air, Rebecca? Because I think it's a really good shout and it makes me understand this.
This TV spot, I'm not even really clear if it's like footage that's actually from the movie. It's just Mandalorian and little baby Yoda on a cart being ridden by tauntauns, and there's some like cute silent interaction. And I think that it's a callback or a take on the old Budweiser horse commercials. Remember, like back around Christmas, or I guess around the Super Bowl as well, Budweiser has typically had like a really big, we got to have this big commercial surrounding the Clydesdales that drive Budweiser from town to town. Like Michael Bay directed them and stuff. But
like Michael Bay directed them before he directed Bad Boys. Like we're talking about early 90s at best.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's true. Like it feels like a weird shout because I don't know how relevant those are anymore.
Okay, so there was a Budweiser Clydesdale commercial at this Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Where the Clydesdale raises an eagle.
I don't. My God. Okay.
I don't know. That's just one brand trying to remind me of another brand. Like, just show me some new footage of your movie.
Yeah, what are you trying to sell
I'm not
exactly?
Going to be like, oh, how clever you're spoofing.
Are you trying to sell a beer? I don't know. And by the way, what's a Grogu? Is that the baby Yoda? Is the baby Yoda's name Grogu? Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Good luck. Good luck with this one.
From all the other marketing, like the vibe they're going for is very 50s pulp kind of. I mean, Chad, would you agree from like the trailer and stuff? It's very like old school pulpy. Why wouldn't you do a cultural reference point from that ties to that?
The show's always leaned into the kind of very Western vibe. And so I don't know if you noticed Sam Elliott is the voiceover for that.
What was Sam Elliott? I was like, why is Sam Elliott in the Star Wars? Like, what?
Yeah, I don't know if he's in it, but the narration, it definitely tied into the Western themes of the show. But yeah, I don't know. The show itself had lost me. I've kept up with it, but it definitely lost me in that third season.
It sounds like I have to do homework before watching this movie because I didn't know the Western thing. I was confused about the Sam Elliott thing. I didn't know what a Grogu was. And I say this after just saying a second ago that I'm looking forward to something called Scream 7. But if you watch the trailer to Scream 7, you don't get the feeling you have to watch 1 through 6 to have a good time. And I kind of feel like I have to do a lot of homework on Disney Plus to even know what is going on with this Mandalorian Grogu thing.
I am super curious as to what the attendance numbers for this movie are going to indicate about the composition, I guess, of the Star Wars fandom in 2026, i.e. how many people like myself kind of just dropped out after the sequel trilogy.
You were a diehard. You were a diehard, Rebecca. That was your jam. Yeah.
I read the books. I took a trip up to the Smithsonian to look at, I've been to museum exhibits for Star Wars. And yeah, I mean, my brother too is talking about it. I'm like, are we even Star Wars fans anymore? Do we even consider ourselves that? But then obviously there's a thriving community of people who are invested in the TV series. And there are a lot of people who have, nostalgia for the world building that happened in the prequels. They're wrong if they think it's good. I'll die on that hill. The prequels are not good. None of them are good. I'll see it, but it has some proving itself to do for me.
The best episodes of the series for me are just an adventure in and of itself for that episode, and then you kind of move on.
I mean, that could be good because the standalone, Rogue One standalone, that was good. Maybe it is if it's just kind of a self-contained, fun
That's what
story.
I'm hoping.
Oh, God forbid. You mean a franchise movie just telling a 3-act structure with a beginning, middle, and end? Wow. That would be, honestly, how refreshing would that be if you just do that? I think that would be a smart business idea and a good movie. I don't know. What do I know?
In the run-up to Rogue One, people kept asking the director, what about sequels? You're going to have a sequels. There's going to be character spinoffs. And he was always like, no. But nobody really believed it. And then you watch the movie and it's like, oh no, all the characters die.
Good.
It was good. They had the guts to do that. It wasn't trying
and
to
a great ending, by the way. The best ending in a Star Wars movie after the "I am your father" reveal is the Rogue One ending.
And then look at that. They were still able to shoehorn some subsidiary TV show and or content off of that, but organically.
It is beyond me the IP mining that Disney has done to these Lucasfilm properties. Not all of them, Indiana Jones hasn't been bothered too much, but on the Star Wars side, it's kind of like going into the rainforest in the 1970s with tractors and bulldozers, right? There's just nothing left of that IP.
They're going into the rainforest with tractors and bulldozers ready to tear everything down and build something new. But the blueprints were written by 5 different people. None of them match up. Nobody has a long-term plan for what they're doing. This is our Star Wars complaint fest.
Yeah. I guess to end on a positive note, with Dave Filoni taking over, Kathleen Kennedy stepping away, we'll see what the next theatrical chapter of Star Wars looks like. But speaking of space stuff, one last trailer, Disclosure Day, Aliens, Steven Spielberg. I'm in.
Oh, this wins. This wins the Super Bowl. I know Seattle did quite well, but I think Steven Spielberg walked out with it. This looks not only good, this looks great.
Yeah.
It didn't show us any new footage, but at this point, I think that there's enough cachet to the brand that you don't really need to show much. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this one.
The hook for the movie that I didn't really, read into until now, I think is really smart. What happens when you tell everybody that aliens are out there? How do people react? That's a really simple concept, but a really exciting one to just build a narrative out of. I think
it resonates a lot now with our, where we are now in terms of news information and everything being so scattered and atomized.
Yeah, I can't wait. This quickly jumped up on my list as one of my must-watch movies of the summer. And I think for a lot of folks that hadn't really been privy to the viral marketing campaign that kind of teased this movie that began earlier last year. I think with this Super Bowl launch, it's the right way to begin talking about an event Steven Spielberg movie. And I do hope it does well in the box office because this looks fantastic.
Yeah. And Josh O'Connor has been on one heck of a career.
Yes. Over the last year and a half, he's been everywhere with a really diverse array of titles. So we got to give him a heads up. I love actors that can take on that range.
I gotta say, of all the trailers that we saw, I think my vote for the most innovative movie marketing around the Super Bowl belonged not to a trailer, but to Kevin James, King of Queens himself. So, yeah, did you guys see this kind of, people were wondering about what the heck's going on? A little bit of a viral marketing for Solo Mio, which came out last weekend from Angel Studios. So there were just all these images of Kevin James, I think like wearing a tux and holding like a bouquet of flowers and just looking like he wanted to die, looking extremely depressed. And it was like, is he okay? Like, it's put him on suicide watch. Like, what's the big deal? It's so weird. It's a Super Bowl. And it turns out that it is marketing to do with Solo Mio, in which he plays a man who is left at the altar. Apparently, he's been doing like social media videos and some Instagram stuff in character from that movie. I like that kind of interesting, thoughtful. I mean, it's not cheap to get Kevin James a ticket to the Super Bowl, but it's cheaper than having an ad during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought it was a really good, smart, viral moment from our friends at Angel Studios.
Collaboration between Angel and then Kevin James getting his fan community involved. I had a good time with that one. And like the movie's already out. So once you see, he's doing that as promo for a movie, you can go get your tickets right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that marketing spark that Angel Studios was able to pull off here. Really, really smart way to capture a cultural moment and to promote their movie that was out last weekend and really did very well, coming in second place with an opening weekend haul of 7 million. It was a slow weekend at the box office. Obviously, Super Bowl weekend, not really known as an audience driver. Sent Help finishing in first place with a $9 million second weekend take. And then obviously Solo Mio with 7 million and Iron Lung in third place with 6. We do have to give a big shout out though to the Bleecker Street title Stray Kids The Dominate Experience, a K-pop event that ended up making $5.6 million in only 1,700 screens. A big high five to our friends over at Bleecker Street. These are the sort of opportunities that we love to see in this business. You take a slow weekend, you get a niche-driven fan event, and you overperform. And all in all, I know it wasn't, the best weekend of the year, far from it, more like the opposite. But thanks to that strong performance from all in all with these titles coming in, like Solo Mio, like that Stray Kids K-pop event, we're already 11% up year over year in 26 than we were in 25. So I'm feeling pretty good coming into what I think is going to be a fantastic bounce back weekend here in Valentine's Day.
There's use to be mined out of Super Bowl weekend for theaters. I think that the people who don't, like myself, who don't give a crap about the Super Bowl, I think we are a larger group, even if we're I don't want to go to any Super Bowl party. Like I would rather go see a football movie. Like if you could make something, some kind of themed event. I mean, obviously you would have to call it the big game, whatever. But I've been to movies before on Super Bowl Sunday. Like
it's a great movie going weekend. I'll tell you what I used to do before having a kid. My wife and I would go to the gym while the game was on. The gym is empty. You have the entire gym to yourself. It's a great idea.
They're playing it, so you get to see the halftime show anyway.
Yeah, you get to see, and the commercials are going to be there on every TV. But the gym is empty. It's a great time to go to the gym. I agree with you. For me, it's one of my.
This year, so
laundry is a great pick. For me, going to the movies in the Super Bowl was also a big tradition. I remember back in, when was it, 2009, 2010, you may have remembered the Red Riding trilogy of UK films with Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield's great. And that came out, all three of them, on Super Bowl Sunday at the IFC Center here in Lower Manhattan. And I went in there and watched the entire trilogy, was there all day, had a fantastic time. They gave me like a printed out program. They really made an event out of it. And I watched this trilogy that I couldn't see anywhere else. And I still think about that as one of my favorite, like, movie-going marathons, seeing those 3 movies in one Super Bowl Sunday back in late 2000s, early 2010s.
What was that movie? It was a couple of years back. Maybe it was a space movie that the big deal was Netflix was putting it on like right after the Super Bowl. And it felt like I think it was Lithe. It was the one that people for some reason thought was going to be a Venom spinoff.
I think that's the Cloverfield spinoff. I think they revealed the Cloverfield straight to streaming spinoff at a Super Bowl trailer saying on Netflix when this finishes. And of course, everybody watches the Super Bowl. Everybody's just like, oh, that's on Netflix. And because it's just on streaming, nobody ever remembers that title, what it is, what happened. No, completely forgettable. It's a cultural moment. Now, we did have a Netflix trailer at this year's event. We don't know if The Adventures of Cliff Booth, directed by David Fincher, basically it's a spinoff from Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We don't know if that's getting a theatrical play or not, which is an unfortunate but true statement concerning a company that just bought Warner Brothers and is trying to convince everyone and their mothers that they are pro-theater. Easy messaging win they could have taken by saying, watch it in theaters on. But of course, that company has an interesting history of communicating with theater owners. Great opportunity to do so. We don't know if it's going to play anywhere but Netflix. And we go back to why we don't like Netflix going into the Warner Brothers conversation right now. And it's because it was a great promotion job for Netflix and their platform rather than for a movie. And that's what I walked away from watching this Adventures of Cliff Booth trailer. Is it playing? When is it playing? Why is it playing? Who else is in it? Who knows? But it's on Netflix. And it's a Netflix commercial for the Netflix platform. And the movies are just something that makes part of it.
If I can tease a little bit my interview with Óliver Laxe, which we'll be hearing in a minute or two, it was a good quote. I thought you would appreciate it. He says it's a red line that he does theatrical. I don't think it has to be 4 months in a theater. It's like Sean Baker style.
I like that 120-day exclusivity window. I love it.
Like in France. I don't think I will work with the platform who doesn't respect theaters.
I love that. I love that. And honestly, Sirāt is a movie, like I've said since I first saw it, will not work at home. In the best home theater setup, it won't work at home.
I saw it at home on my DVD, on my screener, and Eric, my boyfriend, wanted to watch it, and I was like, "No, you hold off. You wait for me.
Yeah,
let's
watch it together."
But I need to see people. It's like when I drag them to see RRR. Like I want to see you and other people react to this.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, let's go into that interview now, Rebecca, because this is, in my opinion, a great example of a film from a filmmaker that knows what a theatrical experience can bring a movie. And there's no better movie-going event in Q1 of 2026 than Neon Sirāt, now in theaters. Go find a showtime on Google. That's brought to you by the Boxoffice company. I can't forget to mention that. But this is something to drive to the faraway theater to see if you get a chance. Rebecca's interview with Óliver Laxe, director of Sirāt, is coming up after the break.
Box Office Pro is launching a new initiative to recognize the most unique movie theaters in the world. The Box Office Blue Ribbon will recognize cinemas in 2 categories, Best New Builds and Best Renovation since 2020. Submissions are due on Sunday, February 15th. Visit boxoffice.com/Blue Ribbon to learn more and submit your cinema today.
Óliver, it's great to speak with you. I really loved the movie. It was one of my favorites this last year, though I watched it on a screener, so I have to see it again because it feels like I miss having watched it with the crowd of people and seeing them react to it. Could you speak a little bit about that, about the experience of seeing how other people react to the film or watch the film or just moving on through the process?
I'm really happy because one more time, we are showing to the people that a theater is a place for catharsis, for transformation, It's something that we experiment. I experiment being a spectator, and I think that when you watch Sirāt, you die. You die. And that's what we wanted. We wanted that the spectator has this experience of dying before dying, of dying and rebirth. So and what happened in France and in Spain, it really makes me really optimistic, because I don't know. For example, in France, we are almost reaching 800,000 spectators.
Oh, wow.
With a film like Sirāt, that is really radical,
Mm-hmm.
But one of the conclusions that I took from this release in France, one of the good news is that obviously you transcend the cinephilia when you have made this amount of, and so people who are not cinephile, they were saying you have to watch it on the big screen. That's a good thing and I was talking to Thierry Fremont, the cast, he told me, we were in the Golden Globes together, he told me, now you need to make films that people understand that you can only watch them on a big screen, surrounded by people. That we need people who understand that cinema is a place for transformation.
Yeah, especially I feel like nowadays where everything is digital and atomized and disconnected. I mean, you really, that opening scene where you just see all the people dancing, I mean, it does pull you into that communal atmosphere. And I wish I'd been in a room full of people rather than on my couch. So
I think we are living a really fragile moment for cinema because of the influence of series making. I don't know. I mean, I can watch most of the films. I can watch them on a plane. It doesn't change anything,
Yeah.
And
This one was different.
It's a pity when you are using a Ferrari and you are running 30 miles per hour when you can go, I don't know, a miles in kilometer. I mean, a film, it's really a tool of, a theater is really a spaceship.
The outlet I'm with is with Boxoffice, so we're the official publication of like the Union for Cinema. So obviously all of our readers, our listeners are all people who work with cinemas or are invested in the theatrical cinema experience. So it was really great, hearing that you appreciate that the big screen experience, particularly for this movie, is so important.
For me, this is a key thing. And I worked with a platform, a Spanish platform, but it's a platform who allows me to go to festivals and to be 4 months on a theater. For me, this is a red line. I mean, I don't think I will work with a platform who doesn't respect theaters. We have to be careful with this. I think this is in the hands of the filmmakers. I think we have to be careful.
Beware of streaming giants bearing gifts.
It's in Spanish, we have a sentence. It's like bread for today, hungry for tomorrow.
That sounds about like it. I mean, you would you get a great deal, and then your film could just be dropped on a stream on, a 2-week theatrical window, and then it's on streaming, and nobody, it's just gone. It's so depressing to see some of the films that are really great these past couple of years just kind of go into a black hole almost.
And also because you are losing spectators. I mean, cinema is a good place also for pedagogy. We have to build, to keep building this, gesture of making this collective ceremony that is going to a theater.
What were some of your experiences, growing up in the various places in which you've lived, going to the cinema? Are there any particular memories or even just particular cinemas that stand out for you as having been particularly impactful as you developed into a filmmaker yourself?
I think I was like 6 or 7 years when I watched the premiere of The Bear from Jean-Jacques Hano. That is a silent movie, it's a film about a bear. Yes. It's a small bear who gets lost. So it's a silent movie and it's really popular. And I think it was a success everywhere. So I have the memory of this film, I remember this small bear eats mushrooms. So he had a kind of trip in the middle of. So imagine you are 6 years old, and still today, I'm 40. I remember these images. When I'm thinking on this film, the images raise up, and I feel the film in my skin. I mean, what is happening on a theater between an image and the human body, the human metabolism, is something really complex.
And it transcends generations. It transcends time. I mean, I've seen a few years ago caught The Wizard of Oz on screen, and there were a ton of people who'd brought their young children to see it. I presume for the first time, and it never played better than it had. Seeing kids it was really scary, and just seeing kids experiencing this movie on the big screen for the first time. You feel like you're seeing it yourself for the first time.
That's why we don't have to say that the experience of watching a film in a big theater is just because the screen is bigger and the sound is bigger. No, it's not just about the quality. It's because you are making it's a social ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
There is a subtle and secret exchange of energy on a theater.
It's great to see the after, just to be in the lobby after a theater, after a screening, and see people kind of talk to each other and process it in real time. Like, you're seeing the mythology of the film, be formed right there. It's really
underline
impactful.
this. We have to underline that going to a cinema is a transcendental thing.
Mm-hmm. And it has to be protected. It's not, you can't take it for granted and say, oh, it will just, feel like in France, France protects their cinemas. In America, we're not so lucky, maybe.
In Spain, we did 500,000 spectators. It's really strange that a film so radical, so popular at the same time.
It feels like, just looking at, the log line, that it would be, a very, very nihilistic film, but it's not. It's almost, I wasn't expecting the comedy of it, even in some of the scenes. That final set piece, I don't want anybody who's going to watch to be spoiled as to what it is. Maybe it's like nervous laughter, but yeah, it feels almost, hopeful and optimistic, despite some of the awful things that are going on.
Yeah, my intention was to inspire light. Sometimes you have to go through the shadows, But yes, I wanted to make a popular film. I really trust on cinemas, theaters, and I really trust on the sensitivity of the spectators. To be clear on my cinema is really ambiguous. To be clear is easy. If I wanted to be more clear, but when you are really clear, too much clear, you don't evoke. It's always a balance between clearness and shadow. Another good news also, and it was in our intention, it was to dialogue with young audiences. I don't know in the US, but in Europe, the only people from 50, 60 years old are going to the cinema.
It's the opposite in America, actually. Strangely, it's you're seeing a lot of younger people, particularly going to, the rep cinema is seeing just a huge wave right now. It's maybe some of those older generations who are taking a long time to come back. It's been really heartening to see
After
that.
COVID,
Actually,
they are afraid to go to the cinemas.
Yeah, they just got out of the habit.
But what kind of films are watching these young audiences? Like art house cinema, or like
some of it is more mainstream, the stuff that is based on nostalgic things from there, like the Mario movie or Five Nights at Freddy's, or some of those versions of things that they grew up with as kids. But then on the independent art house circuit, it's everything. It's like sold out screenings of like the Stroheim. There was a Sorcerer screening that I went to a little bit ago that was sold out. I think I went to a screening of The Wicker Man where it was just a bunch of young people in the audience most of them had never seen it before. And I think because maybe they did grow up watching things sitting on their couch alone, they appreciate it more, maybe.
Yeah, totally. I broke my head, thinking, how can I welcome young audiences to watch my film, And I think that the genre is the hook, the way you need to put. Sirāt is a bitter medicine. Sometimes it's painful, Medicine sometimes is not good, the flavor, but we have honey on the edge of the glass, I think it's the this honey. It's the genre.
It's that scene with the dog where it's not feeling so great. That's a bold thing to put in a film.
Yeah, yes. Sometimes I was afraid of being too trash, but instead of the meaning of the film, I think the film is febrile. Can I say febrile? It's fever. It's a fever. It has energy. It has intensity. It's an art house film, but it's sexy. You know,
it moves.
You are hooked. You are kidnapped in a way. You know, there is a kind of magnetism. You know, with the images and sound. You know,
it definitely sucks you in. That one line, like it's been the end of the world for a long time. I can't remember of a line that's resonated so well just for me personally in ages. I mean, that's just it's just wild to see that this is a script you've been working on for 15 years, because that line in particular and all of it just feels so relevant to what's going on today. But I guess that's the point. It's been going on. It's not, it's the passage of time and the cyclical nature of things.
I will tell you something related with this, Rebecca, is that also I was really inspired by the American cinema from the 70s. Mm-hmm. I think we did this film with the same intention, to connect with an era, to connect with your people, the fears of your time, the dreams of your time.
And that was Rebecca Pahle interviewing Sirāt director Óliver Laxe. The film is now in release from Neon. You can check out showtimes by Googling them or going to your favorite theaters app or website to see if it's playing. Earlier, you heard from myself, Daniel Loria, and my colleague, Chad Kennerk. We'll be back with another episode of the Box Office Podcast next week. New episodes drop on Thursday, so don't forget to subscribe.